Let's roll it, girls.
Hey there, welcome to this episode of Elvis and the Pink Cadillacs. We're your rock and ride guides, Victory
and Skylar,
ready to take you on a pink hue journey through the Elvis's life and music.
But hey, quick heads up, we're not experts, just Elvis-loving gals having a blast in the Pink Cadillac.
Our info might have a funky beat, but it's all about the fun, not the perfection.
Picture us dancing in the back seat, sharing Elvis tales, interviews, and good vibes.
Join our sisterhood of fans, share your Elvis stories, and let's roll together.
So buckle up, because with Elvis and the Pink Cadillacs, every journey is an adventure. Hi guys!
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Elvis and the Pink Cadillacs. It is a beautiful February day.
February 24th to be exact.
Oh my goodness, I feel like this year is going by already so quickly. Like, I'm gonna blink and we're gonna be in Memphis again.
Yeah, should we just announce it? Like, I feel like
I totally not plan for that to happen, but we are going to Elvis Week, y'all. It's official.
Woo! It's finally happening.
Rental car
booked. Flights will be booked soon when the schedule comes out.
We are over the moon about this. Last year we were having like a mofo of missing out and everything, and this year we're going to be in the action, hands-on with everyone.
Seriously, like, we were recording last year and we were like, oh, it's so sad. No, like, why are we at Elvis
literally
Week?
Going through Kristen's stories just to watch the ETA finals and watch Cody win, and then after that we were just sad because we couldn't be there.
Living through literally all the stories, and I was like, there, and that's when we were like, there is no way that we're not there next year.
See,
like, it's
literally
non-negotiable. We're there.
I remember, like, we made a pack of that. We're like, we're gonna be at Elvis Week.
And we hopped on it super early this year, especially after doing birthday. We were like, okay, we have to look at how much it's going to be for the guest house. We have to book the guest house. We have to book the rental car. And we decided that we're just going to wait to book the flights until the schedule comes out, which should be in March, we're hoping. So
hopefully, fingers crossed. Based off, like, you know, last year's event and when they dropped that, but we're so excited.
We're excited, guys.
We have things in the works, so like as the months go on, hopefully we can share more with you guys of like maybe a meetup, doing some things with you guys, just to say hi.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do the friendship meetup again, because everyone, we had so much fun doing that at birthday, and like that was so special for us to like get together with you guys and just like trade friendship. It was the cutest thing ever, honestly.
It was adorable. We were all in the lobby just trading friendship bracelets, and like we just started giving them out to everyone, and everyone that we gave it to was their birthday for some weird reason. Don't know how that happened.
We love it. It was that magic, you know. So, but we promised you guys we would do it again for Elvis Week, because we know a lot more of you guys are going to Elvis Week, and we will absolutely make that happen. We won't no plans for that until closer and once the schedule comes out, because we kind of have to see where we can fit it in, but it'll probably be the same exact thing. Come with your friendship bracelets, we're gonna trade, we're gonna just chill and have fun, and it's gonna be summer then, so we can even like do it at a table in the courtyard of the guest house as well.
We were like thinking courtyard for birthday. It was so cold. I did not want to be out there. It was so cold, so we bunkered down inside. But we heard Memphis is super hot, so yeah, we're gonna take advantage of this.
We're preparing. Yeah, so we're excited, and this is like actually a dream for us to be able to go to Elvis Week, and like birthday was absolutely amazing. I can't even imagine what Elvis Week is going to be like, so we're excited.
We didn't even get like a taste, I feel like, of what birthday is going to be like, because birthday compared to Elvis Week is so chill.
It's chill. Like it wasn't crowded. It wasn't like it was no lines. Like it was like it was chill, which we were shocked. We thought it was going to be kind of busy, but it really wasn't, which we loved at the same time. It was like so nice.
I wasn't upset for my first time that like I wasn't overwhelmed. Like it was quiet. It's so rare to get, again, we got quiet time by the grave at night, which never happens. I can only imagine, especially during Elvis Week. But we're looking forward to it. That's just something we've been wanting to share with y'all.
Yeah, so that's the first thing. We're going out this week, ladies and gents. Second thing, we started a thing called Cadillac Charms, and we've already been sending out the orders. We've been doing it for a while now. You guys have been loving the bracelets. Very early on, people asked us, hey, like, can we buy your friendship bracelets anywhere? And we were kind of like, maybe in the future. And we decided to roll it out. So Cadillac Charms is our friendship bracelets. They're sold in mystery bags. You comes with 3 bracelets. Go on our Instagram at Elvis and the Pink Cadillacs. If you want to purchase Cadillac Charms, the mystery bag, you need to send us a DM and we can put you on the wait list.
Yeah. I think by the time this will be dropped, I think the wait list will be open again. You'll see like an announcement on our story. Once we have more spots to fill, we'll let you guys know. So hop on it because it fills quickly.
It does fill quickly. We've been doing the bracelets in batches of 5 just to make it easier for us, because if you think about 3 bracelets per person for 5 people, like between Victory and I, we've been splitting it. We've been trying to get them out as fast as we can, but essentially we look at your Instagram profile, your aesthetic, and we kind of ask you what some of your favorite things are of our boy, and we just kind of, to our discretion, like just what your vibe is giving. That's like what we make the bracelets.
Either we're not like hound dog or like like the really basic stuff. Like we really try to make it very personalized to you, so you can be like very special and like intimate with like your type of, you know, vibe with Elvis Presley.
So reach out to us on Instagram if you want, and we're excited.
I know. Well, I think it's time. We haven't done this in a while. Gosh, we've been slacking, but I think it's time that we are going to have to do something really, really fun, and I have to pull up the music to it because it's been a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think about that, but I think it's time for Cadillac Confessions.
Yes, it is.
That was way too smooth.
That was perfect. Thank you so much, Victory.
You're welcome so much.
You guys have been sending in your emails still. If you want to send in an email to us, it is elvisandthepinkcadillacs@gmail.com. We have been slacking on this, so if you haven't gotten a response, I'm so sorry, but we have seen it. So we are going to read 2 emails from you guys today, and Victory is going to take it first. Victory, who do you have?
All right. I think this is such a cool email because we always think, what would Elvis be like in the 80s? You know what I mean?
I thought that, yes.
And this email was so cool and just so unique and something that we've never received before. So this is from Caitlin, and she says, hi, I'm a huge Elvis fan and also really enjoyed your podcast so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've been a fan since I was little, but the movie and the Elvis TikTok community has reignited my passion, and I'm fully experiencing Elvis mania and obsession. Welcome to the club, my dear. I listen to so much Elvis that my toddlers have started calling it mama music. That's actually adorable.
That's adorable.
And anytime they hear it in Lilo and Stitch, they announce, it's playing mama music. My heart, I want my kids to be like that. I secretly hope my love for Elvis transfers to them as they grow up, though of course I won't push it on them. I think it will. But it would be nice to have more fans in the house since my husband isn't really, and is sweetly supportive of all my wisps, thinking his wife is insane. Anyway, I was recently watching the Reinventing Elvis Comeback Special documentary. Amazing documentary, by the way. If you guys have not watched that yet, go check it out. And the part where they mentioned him giving his number to Steve Bender, then that perhaps his life and career would have ended differently and had stayed connected, made me wonder what Elvis's music and style would have been like in the 80s, in the hair band era. I'm thinking about that now. How would he, like, he was already letting his hair grow out in the 70s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Whoa. He would have looked so good. Like, that was actually something that I thought about really early on when I first became a fan. I was like, damn, I would have loved to see his style and his hair in the 80s.
Me too. And she goes on to say, what 80s songs would he have covered and how would he have both rocked and created 80s fashion? I would love to hear your thoughts. Sorry for a long email. Keep up the great work. And here are some AI-generated images I came up for 80s Elvis. P.S. Y'all are so real for your weekly fixation. Mine continues to be his sweaty chest hair and the poke salad. Annie performance! And the chains too. Lord have mercy. Yeah, no, the chest hair hits all of us. I think it really gets us.
It does.
Okay, but why does this look like Uncle Jesse? Why does this look like John Stamos? You can't tell me.
It does. It does. I really... is wild, bro. I just...
This is giving Uncle Jesse. You cannot tell me that's not
Uncle
Jesse.
Jesse. No, it is. Oh, it's giving Uncle Jesse.
Oh my gosh.
I wish so badly that we would have been able to see him in that era. Seriously.
And the 90s too. He would have really transformed. He would have been a different person. I can only imagine him in the early 2000s as well.
She asked what song he would cover, and I honestly have no idea.
I think him and Michael might have collabed a little bit.
Could you imagine, like, Elvis singing songs from Thriller?
Dressed as a werewolf? He would do it. He would do it. I bet you he would do it.
Like, I just think about, like, or, like Madonna's, like, Whitney Houston. Like, it's just crazy to me that, I don't know what he would have covered, but that would have been iconic if he was there.
To let the imagination run wild, all I can see now is though Uncle Jesse as 80s Elvis.
Yeah. Okay, he would have been part of the We Are the World thing. You know this. Yeah. Elvis would have been in that. He would have been in that. Okay, like. Feed the world.
Nope. Yep.
We're thinking about a different song.
Oh, I was thinking of the Christmas song where they all sang it. It was about the world.
No, I'm talking about the song that's like, we are the world. Oh. We are the children. With all the celebrities and Michael Jackson and Bob Dylan and like.
I remember that one too. There was like two of them though that they kind of did that same vibe.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. He would have been in both.
He would have been. He would have been. It's fine. We can dream. Okay, we can dream.
Okay, but what is your Elvis fixation? Since she brought it up.
Y'all are gonna... It's Elvis and June again.
We're back at it.
We're back at it because, guys... When is this... Oh, okay, this episode comes out next week. So I am... teaming up with the TCB book club, and their book of the month was June's book, and someone had actually... They were looking for a guest speaker, and someone had tagged me in it, and I said, oh my god, I would love to talk about June's book, and surprise, I am actually talking about June's book on March 10th on the TCB Book Club live, if you want to join at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I took it upon myself to start rereading the book, because I have a bad memory, and so I like forgot half of the stuff already, and also I had a mental breakdown when I read the book as well, as we know. So I've started rereading as of yesterday, and I'm back in it, ladies and gents. I'm back in it. I never left, but
we're going strong. We're still looking for June. She's out there somewhere.
She's out there. We love you. What's your fixation of the week?
First in Line.
Yes.
That song has been playing on repeat in my head. Last night I turned it on Alexa. My husband and I slow danced to it in the kitchen. Low-key pretended it was Elvis, but
Juan, if you're listening, I'm so sorry.
You can't. No one else is guilty of not doing that. You can't tell me.
I cannot right now. That song.
And I was listening. I was like, yes, this is it. And I was in my yellow nightgown.
Oh, stop. That's so cute.
My 50s yellow nightgown.
Yeah. I think about like, it gives like vintage prom vibes when you listen to that song. Completely. And it's so good. It's so good. If you guys...
So good. And then the second probably be Earth Angel. I'm so upset we don't have better quality. I'm very upset about that.
Earth Angel? The fact that I'm happy we do have a recording, but like you said, I wish we had a clear recording. Like, I just... Going back to songs that we wish Elvis would have sang, like, that's actually one of the fixations from June's book, is how she's talking about all these songs that he would just so casually sing. And I'm actually going to make a playlist, guys, an Elvis and June playlist of all the songs that are mentioned in that book that he would just sing out of nowhere. Or
I think that is so smart. Smart.
I wanted it in one place, so I was like, I'm doing it, and I'll post it when it's done after I finish the book, but like, he sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Like, they were driving home from Houston, Texas in the white Cadillac Eldorado, and he just started singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow because it was raining and they saw a rainbow. They were sitting on the side of the highway. Yeah. And she was like, I got chills. Like, you need to sing more songs like this that showcase your voice. And he was like, maybe I'll do it someday. And I was like... Bro.
Well, that someday never really came for those special songs, but we can pretend AI can make it happen, sort of.
No, I don't want to hear the AI. I can't. It's fake. I don't want to hear it.
It's so funny when it pops up on my For You page, and I literally go, I don't remember her singing. Oh, it's fake.
Yeah, it's fake.
It's fake. I think someone did a rendition of Earth Angel, like more clear, which broke my heart because, like, you know, it's close but not close. But I'm like, I really wish we have a clear version of that song.
Though we didn't get Somewhere Over the Rainbow, as Elvis's career went on, though, he did record more songs that showcased his voice, like Now or Never, like, and like towards the end, like, if you listen to the Elvis in concert, which is the CBS special recording, which is very sad, you will bawl when you listen to it. But just his vocals towards the end of his life were actually insane. He becomes so operatic, and it's like the most beautiful thing. And I highly recommend listening to that record. But also you'll bawl because it's from that CBS special where he's wearing the sundial suit. So. I have Taylor. And Taylor said, Skylar and Victory, I just wanted to say that I just started listening to your podcast and I am already obsessed. I became an Elvis fan myself after watching the Elvis movie. I knew of Elvis and was familiar with him because of my mom, but I didn't start to become a fan of his until after I watched the movie. I also went down the rabbit hole of Elvis talk on TikTok. I've read a few of the books that were written about him, and I've watched more than half of his movies. I've liked almost all of them except for a couple. I've also watched the movies that portrayed him. I've liked some of them, others I have not. I wanted to know if either of you girls have watched the Priscilla movie that came out recently. If you girls have, what did you think of it? I watched it and I thought it was good, but I didn't like how Elvis was viewed in the movie. I knew it was from Priscilla's perspective, but I still felt the movie kind of did him dirty. I hope you get my email, TCB and TLC. Well, Taylor, we did get your email, so thank you so much for writing in. We have kind of talked about this in past episodes when the Priscilla movie had come out.
Yeah.
It wasn't our cup of tea. Like, I just didn't like it.
I mean, I love the fashion of it. I mean, like, I think the wardrobe was very good, at least on Scylla's standpoint. I'm not going to say anything about Jacob Elordi's wardrobe, but yeah, Priscilla's outfits were really cute. I think that's the number one takeaway that I did enjoy about the film.
Yeah. I just didn't like it, period. I mean, like Victory said, though, like, the fashion and, like, the vibe of it, yeah, like, it's 60s, like we love that so much, but it just wasn't it wasn't good. The script wasn't good, and I recommend going back a couple of episodes where we talk more deeper into it. We won't really go into it much in this episode, but no one really liked the movie, let's be honest, like so
it was okay.
So yeah, but we love that you were on Elvis Talk. You know, that's where we started Elvis TikTok, and thank you so much, Taylor, for writing in.
We appreciate it. Truly. I know. I don't want to get down that rabbit hole again because like that could be its own podcast video.
I know. I'm like
I do like the 88 version of it. If you've seen the 1988.
I'm really bad. I still need to watch
really
it.
Good. That one has like a lot of people do enjoy that one.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. I like that one a lot. That was one of the you can find on YouTube or whatever. But moving on past all that because lots of rabbit trail, and we have some really exciting people, a person that we get to interview. And for the first time on this podcast, we got to put a picture of him and Elvis side by side. This is not just someone that knows of Elvis or is very knowledgeable or made a book or a movie. This is a friend of Elvis. We are moving up the charts here.
Guys, this is seriously so exciting. We are having Larry Strickland on the show today, and Larry was in the quartet, this J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet, who sang backup vocals for Elvis in the late 70s. And it is so special that we get to talk to him because not only, like Victory said, like this is the first person that we are having on the podcast that what knew Elvis, was friends with him, performed with him, but like we actually met Larry during birthday in January. And so this is the first person that we have already met that gets to come on our show now, and we get to talk to him about his experiences.
I would like to thank Jillian Cardarelli as well, though, for linking us up with this connection. He also is saying it's If I Can Talk to Elvis that Jillian wrote and sang. So it's just like a really special song and like friendship between both of them. So I just kind of want to put that in there.
Yes, we love our girl Jillian. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if you guys haven't recently, Jillian has been releasing some new music. And even if you are not a country person, I am not really a country person, guys, but I love Jillian's music so much. Like, it hits. So her new song, I Hate Chevys, is out. Go listen to it on Spotify.
I'm telling you. I love how you're like, I hate country, but we were talking about this guy going to Boot Barn yesterday to go get a pair of boots.
No, I want to say I don't hate country. I just have never been like a country music person. But now I think after going to Nashville, I'm like, okay, like what's going on?
Welcome.
Like,
Jillian, I have corrupted you. Welcome.
You have. And I actually have been listening to more country music. More older country though. Like I love Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash. Been listening to Jillian nonstop, honestly. If
Jillian is so good. She was in my top 5 on Spotify.
So good.
I know.
So good. So yeah, we actually we had talked about this in a previous episode, but we went to Nashville because on Elvis's birthday, the TCB band did a show to celebrate Elvis's B-Day, and Jillian opened up for it. So we went to go see her and meet her for the first time, which was so fun.
Everyone at that place was so kind, by the way. The venue was amazing. The people that worked there were great.
Yeah. We got to meet so many cool people. We met some Elvis friends too. I was so happy. And that concert was so special because it had members who are still alive, including Larry. Larry was there. Glenn was there.
Presley, Donna,
Terry Blackwood was there. It was like, it was so cool to see like the members of Elvis's band perform live because it felt like we were there, you know, like felt like we were about to see Elvis, and it was so special. Hearing them sing "Sweet Sweet Spirit," that was life changing.
We were talking to everyone, and we literally had to leave the room because we were getting so distracted.
It's just hearing like what Elvis fell in love with, because he loved hearing them sing that song so much that he would have them singing on, I'm getting chills right now. He would have them singing on stage every night, and getting to actually hear that it was mind-boggling. It was like, oh my God, like I cannot believe that this is happening right now. And then when we heard them sing American Trilogy,
because like I usually skip American Trilogy, I'm not even gonna lie. Like
honestly sometimes I do too, because it's a long song. It's a long song.
That changed it. If it sounds the way that we heard that night, if I wish the audio could have picked it up from that time era. Different. Chills.
It's like, it's seriously one of those songs that, like, you know, when you go to a concert and you hear a song in person, you're like, damn, that actually hits so different now. Like, that happened to me when I went to Taylor's concert. I wasn't really a folklore girly, but like after that show, I was a folklore girly because those songs hit in person. It's the exact same thing that happened to us with American Trilogy. Hearing the vocals on that, like Victory and I literally looked at each other and we were like, are you hearing this right now? Like, what? Like jaw on the floor. So I keep getting chills like talking about this. Just like, it was crazy.
Okay, before we spoil too much, because Larry's about to be on, I know we can like keep going on and on about this, y'all. We want to introduce Larry Strickland to y'all. We're so excited. Enjoy!
Well, we have someone very special. We already introduced him before he got in here. But Larry, welcome to Elvis and the Pink Cadillacs.
Thanks, ladies. I'm happy to be here.
We're so happy that you're here. It's long time awaited. Seriously.
Yes. We were just talking about before you hopped on how there's two special things about this. One, you're the first person to come on our show who actually knew Elvis, performed with him, was friends with him. So thank you for being here. And two, we have previously met you before you even came here, which is so cool.
Yeah. It was, yes. We did. We met in Nashville, Tennessee at 3rd and Lindsley.
Which that venue was awesome. That was such a cool place.
Yeah, it was fun that night.
And it was even better because it was Elvis' birthday. So, Well, we want to get right into it because we want to know your story. We know all of our listeners want to know it too. So let's start this thing, shall we? Let's start from the beginning, before Elvis. Take us before Elvis. When did you discover your passion for singing, and what inspired you to start your music career?
My dad was a minister, and he absolutely loved Southern gospel music. And so when I was about 10 years old, he started taking me to gospel concerts. And of course, the first one I attended, I got smacked in the face with it, and I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever heard. So that kind of got in me at that time, and I couldn't get rid of it. And so from an early age, I was about 10 years old, and I started trying to figure out how to sing, and I especially wanted the sing the bass vocals, because that had made the biggest impression on me. I don't know why. I kind of wish now I had gone in another direction and sang tenor or something. But when you sing bass, you're gonna sing low all the time. It's not much else you're gonna do. And
well, you had that voice. You have that deep voice already for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's fortunate as well. When I came into puberty and my voice changed, and I couldn't at that point to keep it low, and to work on it low. To work the low parts and just sing as low as I could. And I'd come home after school every day, and I'd put Blackwood Brothers records on, and Statesman's records, and J.D. Sumner, and with him singing. In fact, J.D. was probably the biggest influence in my life, because he's one of the first bass singers I saw and heard live when I was just a kid. Never dreamed of being on stage with him. So I just continued to do that, and then eventually, as I got to be a teenager, I started singing with local quartets in my area around Raleigh, North Carolina, and started traveling when I was about 16, singing bass with quartets, and I did that for years.
Is that crazy? Because that's actually what Elvis wanted to do when he was younger, was be in the quartets, and you're kind of living his dream, like you got to do.
You know what? You're absolutely correct, and in about the last year of his life, and I'll explain later, he started calling me his alter ego, and yeah, he was just eat up with gospel music, and he loved the bass vocal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And JD had that really deep bass voice as well.
Oh.
And like,
if he was JD, he'd be talking down in here somewhere. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, this is how he'd be the whole time, but an octave under me, whatever. Half an octave.
Wow. And let me just tell the listeners, like, if you were to meet Larry in person, guys, like, his voice, like, it's so deep, and it resonates. Like, when we talked to you, I was like, dang, that's so cool. Like, I've actually never met someone with a voice that deep before, so I love that, and it makes sense why Elvis loved it so much too.
I'll tell you a little side story. I went with my daughter Ashley just this past weekend out to Vegas to see U2 in the Sphere.
Yes.
And they actually have in the seats in the Sphere, they have vibrated, like the seats will vibrate at certain times with a bass guitar or a kick drum. If it's just a kick, this kick, your seat will pulse with it,
Yeah.
And, it occurred to me while that was going on, I was thinking, man, I wish we had that back when I was singing gospel music, and put them in the seats at church. So whenever I wrote it really vibrates.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Like, I wish they had that. That would be so awesome. Like, it brings the experience, like, gives it more oomph to the experience too as well. And I actually, like, I think you'll think this is pretty cool. I never listened to gospel music before I found Elvis, and now like he's introduced me to gospel music, and I love it. My favorite gospel album of his is He Touched Me, and one of my favorite songs is I've Got Confidence, like one of my favorite Elvis songs. I love that song so much, and before that I just never I never really heard gospel music, so
Wow.
I get the hype now. I get it.
Write this down. You should Google the cathedrals.
Okay.
The Hensons.
Okay.
The Hensons their lead singer, one of the best country singers you'll ever hear. He's just unbelievable. And he sings with us.
Oh.
And then the Isaacs are very good friends of mine to this day, are excellent as well. So search them and listen to them.
I have some homework after this.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna listen to those. And you talked about how you had thought like JD was an inspiration to you, and like little did you know that one day you were gonna be in his quartet and perform with him. And like how did that even happen?
You know, it was just kind of a fluke. I was singing in a little regional quartet. You know, we just traveled around North Carolina. And one day with this particular, there was a large church there, and they were going to have a gospel sing. And so they had the group that I was singing in, and then the Stamps. J.D. Sumner and the Stamps were on the same. So I got to be on the same gospel concert with them. And they heard me sing at that time. And Ed Enoch was the lead singer of the Stamps. Came to me after the concert and said, and asked for my phone number. He said, you know, you never know when we're going to need somebody. And he took my phone number. And so help me, it was like 4 years later. He had my number for like at least 3 or 4 years, something like that. It was when Richard Sturban left the Stamps to go with the Oak Ridge Boys. That's when I went with the Stamps. So yeah, he had my number in his wallet for years.
Wow, that's really like the epitome of like when you apply for a job and they like keep your application. They're like, we'll keep your application for future needs. Like that's like literally what happened with you, Larry.
4 years? I would have forgotten about that.
Yeah, he was thankful. Thank God he did.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So when you got that call from them, was that to perform with Elvis, or were you performing with them a while before you got on the stage with Elvis?
I performed several gospel concerts and shows before we ever got to the Elvis thing.
Okay.
Elvis wasn't touring at the time, and you know, and I really don't know the span of time between me actually joining the Stamps and when my first Elvis show was in the summer. I mean, it couldn't have been more than like a month or so, you know, that we were singing without him.
Wow. And were you a fan of Elvis before you performed with him?
Well, I liked his music,
of
course, and I appreciated his talent, but I was so eat up with gospel music, that's all I ever listened to.
That's true. Yeah.
Growing
up, was Elvis gospel ever played in your house at all?
You know, I didn't have any of his albums, but I'm sure I heard it.
Yeah.
Some of them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point or another on the radio or whatever.
That is amazing to think about. And just like carrying off of that, can you just tell us one of your most memorable experiences or moments in your time singing backup for Elvis Presley?
Well,
I'm sure there's many. I know that's a hard one. You can share a collection if you'd like.
Wait, Victory, before we go there though, we need to know how Larry met Elvis. We can't skip over that part. It's important.
I know. I got ahead of myself. I was like, I want to know the details now.
Well, I was going to go right to that, because my meeting him was the most traumatic and interesting and scary point in my career.
Traumatic, scary. I don't think I've ever heard those words used to meet Elvis, so I'm excited to hear this one.
Just wait, Victory. Just wait.
My first gig was in Las Vegas. It was the first time I was going to meet him. And they called for a rehearsal, like the night before the show was to open the next night. And so I knew I was going to get to meet him that night, for the first time at this rehearsal. And so at this particular time in the culture and everything, the really cool or hip dress for younger people and women as well was bib overalls. I don't know, that's probably never seen that, after or before your time, but the girls would wear them, they'd cut them off, with shorts, but they'd have the bib.
Yeah.
And we were up in New Jersey somewhere of all places, and I walked in the store and there was a pair of bib overalls for guys. And so I thought, wow, I'm going to buy them. Part B. And so we're in Las Vegas, and I've got those overalls on. In fact, I've got those overalls hanging in my closet because I couldn't throw them away. I'll show them to you maybe afterwards. You can get a shot of them.
Please.
I would love to see those overalls.
But they call the rehearsal and go upstairs to the big banquet hall upstairs up at the very top of the Hilton in Vegas. And everybody's there, the band and the Sweet Inspirations and all the stamps, and all standing around. And in a few minutes, there's double doors, both the double doors swing open. In walks two bodyguards, Elvis in the middle and two bodyguards behind him, and they're all kind of moving like a machine, just right together. And he proceeds to go around the room. He's greeting everybody and hugging everyone because they hadn't seen each other for 2 or 3 months. I don't know how long it was. So he was really happy to see everybody, hugging everybody. And finally came over to where I'm standing with the stamps. And he's hugging J&D and they're slapping each other on the back and laughing and carrying on. And he's hugging Ed, and there's two Ed and Ed and Bill Bays. And, finally, Ed Enoch goes, they call him E, said he wants you to meet our new bass singer, Larry Strickland. And here I am, with an overalls on.
In Vegas.
Put his hand, and shook my hand just kind of lightly. Like, hey, it was like he shook it a little bit lightly. Then he put his hand on Ed's shoulder and pulled Ed away from me only about 3 feet. And I hear him say, Ed, where in the hell did you get the effing farmer? I heard him say that. And I mean, my heart hit the floor. I knew that I had made a huge mistake. And I figured I was going to be on the next plane out of there. Because he was very serious about that kind of stuff, but not only that, then he's going around to where all the Sweet Inspirations are, and he's pointing me out. He's singling me out, pointing me out to everybody else in the band, and everybody hee-hawing at me, just laughing their asses off at the farmer over there, which was. I was sick. I can't tell you. I was scared to death. I just knew it. And then I found out later that he really didn't. He didn't like those. Because if you see any pictures of him, when he's a little boy standing in the field, he's wearing those overalls, and I'm sure looking back on that, he hates it. He hates that whole look. And then I found out that he actually had a a rule, you know, that of course it only prepared. It was only meant for stage, but he didn't want any of us wearing any kind of blue jeans or anything like that on stage. So I really didn't mess up from that standpoint. Still, it was a faux pas. That's even a word.
Why did no one warn you? Like when you walked in, why did no one say?
I know.
And I did ask when they had called my room and said, "Hey, it was rehearsal at 6:00." I said, "Well, how do you guys normally dress for, you know, to be around him like that?" He said, "Oh, it don't matter, man. Just wear whatever you got on." So I didn't.
Were you already wearing the overalls?
I already had them on. You know, I was walking all over the casino with them, man. I thought I was cool.
Oh my gosh!
I thought I was like hip.
They could have warned you. No one warned you.
It's like the number one rule. Like as an Elvis fan, it's like Elvis doesn't like jeans. Like don't wear jeans around Elvis ever.
Literally.
I didn't know. Nobody
you
told
wore
me.
A full-on overall suit with them.
Well, I'm happy that he kept you and didn't send you out of there immediately.
Yeah. You know, and a few days after that, after he had really just wore me out with it, you know, in front of everybody, we went out to the airport for some reason after a show one night and we just sat on the plane. We didn't go anywhere. We just sat on the plane with Lisa Marie. And of course, I'm still trying to keep a low profile, you know, so I'm up at the total opposite end of the plane from where he would sit back behind that table, you know, the open table in there. And at one point, this was after they'd already done a couple of shows, about 2 or 3 shows, I'm not sure how many. But then in front of everybody, he said, "Larry, hey man, glad to have you with us. You're doing a good job, you know." So that, you know, from that point on, I was better.
You're like, I feel good now.
Yeah, I know. I would have been on edge too if I had worn the overalls and he called me a farmer. I would have been like, oh.
I would have dressed to the nines after that. Like
every pair of blue jeans would have been thrown out of my wardrobe.
And I've threatened to throw them away many times, and I still got them. Just
don't.
Yeah.
That's a story. You want to hold on to that.
Because every time I look at them, you know, it humbles me, makes me realize I'm not all that smart.
I thought you were going to be like, it reminds me of him and the first time I met him.
No. Well, it does. It does.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is definitely memorable, and what a way to meet Elvis. I mean, you don't get a story like that.
No. And I won't be wearing overalls anytime soon now, I feel like.
That's honestly like what I feel like when we go to Graceland though. I'm like, I can't wear jeans here. Like, even though he's not there. In my head, I'm like, Elvis wouldn't like me wearing jeans here. Maybe I'm just delusional, I don't know. But anyways, Victory.
Yeah. Now that I know how you met him, can you share a memorable experience or a moment in time singing backup for Elvis Presley that you love?
Well, I mean, of course, I had never seen him on stage. I'd never seen a live concert or never been to Vegas in my life. And so one of the most memorable times was that very first night. And I'd had very little rehearsal. I'd rehearsed for the group some, but we'd never, except we ran over a couple of songs at the rehearsal upstairs. But the rest of the show, you know, was all just brand new to me. But the guys, JD and Ed, who were on either side of me, they had little hand tricks that they would give me as to whether to ooh if the song, if we were getting ready to ooh, they would do the hand like this, you know, up where I could see it, you know, not way up here, but then where I could see that. If we were to do an ah, they would give me a big open hand thing, you know, like this.
Mm.
And then if we're going to sing the lyrics, they would just do this, you know, sing the lyrics. So I had those hand signals.
That's nice.
That's
yeah.
cool.
And it was pretty easy because I'm standing next to JD, and I know, even though he sings lower than me, I'm pretty much singing the same note as he is, usually an octave higher. So it wasn't like it was a big crasher in it, with me.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, I'm standing on stage, the curtain's down. This is in Vegas. The orchestra kicks off, in 2001. And the vocals come in, the hair stands up on the back of my neck, and it's, you just feel the energy, when that song comes on. I mean, with the kettle drums and all this kind of stuff, which was really getting my attention. I'd never been in the middle of anything like that at all, that much sound.
Mm-hmm.
And the curtain's down, and it gets tears down. And then I see on the other side of the stage, I see this figure coming. Totally white suit, black hair. And he got out, this curtain starts to come out, as he gets to the center of the stage. But I'm looking at him, and I'm going, damn, that is the best looking guy I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I was thinking, this guy is pretty. I mean, he is just pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, captured me and took my attention right to him. I couldn't take my eyes off him. And then, of course, the music kicked in and the energy, and it was like, boom, I'm on this cloud, walking through this cloud of the sound of all this beautiful music, the beautiful vocals, the beautiful orchestra. I mean, it's on a level that very few people get to perform on. When I look, you see bands that go out all the time, they got 5 or 6 pieces most of the time. Well, we were up there with horns and strings and timpanis. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Everything for an orchestra. And so it was just a huge, huge wall of sound, and just so exciting. I'll just never forget that.
I had chills.
Yeah, we got such a mini version on January 8th of when we were in Nashville, and I can only imagine to that extent of experiencing it and feeling the vibrations and being in it rather than just from the audience, to stand in it and experience it is so different.
And then you add to it, as the curtain comes up, the crowd starts screaming.
Oh my gosh, that alone would give you adrenaline to bump it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We add all that. You got the orchestra on my right side. I got the screaming audience on my left side.
I can't imagine that energy. The rush from that would be amazing.
It was very
what year was that, Larry? Was that 74 or 75?
74.
Okay. Wow.
I know, that's amazing. That is amazing. So we know that Elvis was always singing wherever he went. What is one song that you can remember that Elvis would sing a lot when y'all were around him?
It was always a gospel song. Mm-hmm. It was always an old black gospel song. And Bosom of Abraham, those kind of things. Down in the bosom of Abraham, he guards my soul. The bosom of Abraham. Those kind of things was on his mind all the time. My goodness.
Did you have a particular favorite one?
A particular favorite song?
Yeah.
What was your favorite song to sing with Elvis?
To sing with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of made a list of American Trilogy because we, as a group, we had such a big part of it. We weren't just oohing and ahhing. We actually sang. We had lines that we sang ourselves, and so that made it so much more fun. And same thing with How Great Thou Art. We had solo parts in that song with him. And then Suspicious Minds, I always loved.
That one's so much fun.
Yeah.
That gets the crowd wild.
Yeah. But, I guess something happened that I need to tell you about as far as song.
Please.
In the last year, and I think it was the last Vegas concert, the last week of concerts, he's doing It's Now or Never, his biggest. That was a hit ever. And he was playing around with it, singing it. And then when he get to the end of it, he goes, "It's now or never, my love won't wait." And then he goes, "And I'll never mind." He would drop his voice down.
Mm-hmm.
And on this particular night, when he went to "My Love Won't Wait," he couldn't hit it. He didn't hit it very well, and he stopped. He stopped the show. I mean, the band and everything. And he looks over at me and he goes, "Larry, sing that line for me." And I go, "My love won't wait." He said, "Do it again." I went, "My love won't wait." He said, "Okay, from now on, whenever we sing this song, that's your part." And so I started every night, and from then on, every concert, when he'd get to the end of the song, I would double him like, "My love won't wait." And then he would point to me and go, and that's when he would call me his alter ego.
Oh, I love that.
Huh?
I love that. I love that so much. That's amazing.
And one of the points to that is he didn't have to single me out because I was matching his tone and matching his notes. It's not like I was just sticking out and just booming everywhere. I was trying to match him to support him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and nobody's looking at me. They're watching him. But then he turns and gives me credit for singing the low notes, which he didn't have to do.
I feel like he really appreciated and loved like everyone that was on stage with him so much. And
yeah, he did.
And when you listen to like live albums, like he's always like calling you guys out by name, or like someone would go really low. Maybe it was JD, and when he would start singing Amen on stage, and there's like an album where someone goes really, really low and he goes, "Smart Alec." And it's so funny.
JD, that was one of JD's, we call them sugar sticks. That was one of his standout parts because he literally could sing like an octave under me, and he would slide low notes just so easy and then slide back up. So JD wasn't about to let me do that part. That was him.
But I love those moments on stage with you guys because it's so much personality, and Elvis was so funny too. Just like he just loved to have fun, and you could tell that from listening to him. And this is just like I keep saying this, but this is just the coolest thing ever, Larry. Like every time you say like an experience, like I just get chills because I'm like we just enjoy talking about him so much, and we just love him so much. And yeah, we're like super young and like we're super new to Elvis, but like this is like so cool for us. So just thank you again for doing this. And hearing the like when you said he likes to sing like Down in the Bosom, like I just think about there's like film of him in like 72 singing when he was on the movie like Elvis on Tour, and they're all around the piano and he's singing all those gospel songs. And I just think that's so special that he loved to do that.
Yeah, the little side note to that though is the guys, the quartet, he would just wear them out, because he would do it. He would sing like all night. He stayed up all night.
Yeah.
And he would do that till 5 o'clock in the morning, and the guys, they're all just falling over him. Just so much,
How do you even get out of that? Like, I know. Okay, I'm kind of tired, Elvis.
Gotta go. Yeah, you don't. You wait until
you just stayed.
You lose.
Wow. That's so cool.
I can't even imagine pulling an all-nighter like that. I would have been exhausted, but I'm sure it's on a different wavelength with Elvis singing and just being in that environment.
Yeah. Oh, it was fun, but still very tired.
Yeah.
More
than after you've already done the whole show, you've done a concert.
That's true. Oh my gosh.
So, what was the dynamic like with like you and in the Stamps and JD? Were you guys all like super close? Was it kind of like a family?
Yeah, and even more so with the other Stamps and JD, because by the time I came along, that things had started changing some as far as what like, and we were doing more tours, more shows on the road. than we were Vegas. Vegas was kind of a different animal as far as how he would do after the show and this kind of stuff. And when we were touring, sometimes he would even fly back to Memphis after the show, and we would always stay in a hotel wherever city we just performed in. Then he would, if he did stay, he would sleep all day long, and we wouldn't see him until the next show, the next night. So there wasn't a lot of personal time off the stage after I was there to hang with him. And Sam's got a lot of that, through the Vegas gospel, late night gospel thing.
Yeah.
But my only really personal time with me and him was when we were doing the recording at Chrysler, the Jungle Room recordings, as they call them now. And there was one night that was still upstairs, and we were all waiting for him to come down, and Charlie came down, and Charlie Hobbs came down and said, "Hey, Elvis, he's not ready to start recording right now. He's in his closet. He's going to go through his closet and get rid of a bunch of stuff, and he wants to get a whole new one." So, any of you guys want any of the stuff, let me know. I'll come get you. Then he come and eventually it was my turn to go upstairs, and it was just me and him in his closet. And he's going through his clothes, and he's taking stuff out and holding it up to me. And of course, anything he pulls out and how does that, I'm going, I love it. Yeah, I'll wear that. I can wear that. Knowing good and well, it was stuff that I couldn't wear, because even his street clothes, were custom made and things that you wouldn't see other people wear. So I did get some, intimate time with him in the closet. That was fun. And then while we were recording, he would come around us and mess with us quite a bit, just joking and carrying on with us.
Yeah, and I'm happy you actually brought up the Jungle Room sessions, because I was looking at the questions we sent over to you, and I was like, we forgot a vital part, and that is the Jungle Room sessions, and I wanted to speak to you about that. But before that, did you ever go to Graceland before the Jungle Room sessions, or was that your first time there?
My first time there, which is a whole nother story, was before I ever met him.
Oh, please, if you would like to tell it, please do.
I was with the Stamps, and I hadn't moved to Nashville yet, and so I'm actually living and staying with Ed Enoch in his condo in Nashville. And one night, in the middle of the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, Ed gets a call, and it's JD up. JD lived in the same condo above. JD, and he said, "Hey, Elvis has called. He wants me to find a tour bus for him. So when you get up in the morning, you got to get right on it." And so I had just come from this quartet that was working out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And so when Ed was looking for a bus, trying to find one for sale, the little group that I had, we had a pretty decent bus. It was a smaller one, but it was in really good shape. It was like a Charlie's bus. And so I mentioned that. I said, "Well, Ed, the guys, because I was saying that they have a bus, they might would sell it." And so I called the guy, and they said, "Well, yeah." So we told the lady, called Elvis, that we found a bus. It's in North Carolina. We'll have to get it over there. Well, Elvis sent a small jet for us. And they picked me and JD up in the jet, and we flew to Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I talked with the guys on the bus. We went to the bank with a signed check by Elvis Presley, with a blank check signed by Elvis, and bought this bus.
Wow.
Well, as it turned out, the bus was the bus was not in Fayetteville. They had let a Sunday school group use the bus and take it on like a field trip to up to Virginia. Can't think of the name. It's the real historic town in Virginia. It was Alexandria or something like that. So now we got to fly to Virginia to get the bus, and they fly. We land. We land in Richmond, I think it was, and JD gave me a handful of money and a couple of blank checks, and he said, and they literally kicked me out of the plane. He said, "Go find the bus and bring it to Nashville." And then he flies back to Nashville. And I'm green, you know. I don't know my way around that kind of stuff, how to navigate doing that kind of deal. And all I could think of was I had to get around. So I hired a taxi. And I told the taxi driver, I said, "Listen, I'm trying to find a bus. And all I can tell you is I need you to drive me around until I find that thing." And he did. It took about an hour or more. But I finally found it. You know, they had pulled into a service station and were letting the kids get sodas and stuff. And so we pulled in, and I went to the guy that was driving. And I said, "Hey, man, we just bought this bus. I got to take it back to Nashville." He said, "Man, I got all these kids here. What do we do about that?" So I had to go then to the bus station and lease a regular bus to get all these kids back to Fayetteville, which was, it was, several $1,000s to do that.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got in the bus we just bought, and I'd never really driven a bus. I just drove it. And I drove that bus nonstop all the way back to Nashville. And by the time I got back, I was so dead, I couldn't think straight. And we were getting ready to go out of town for a gospel tour. And so I went to bed on our bus and went to sleep because I had to. Well, the two buses, the one we just bought, and the Stamps bus, we went to Memphis to Graceland, pulled up in front of Graceland with the buses. And nobody wakes me up. Nobody even thinks to wake me up. So I'm asleep in my bed. Elvis comes out of the house to look at the bus, and he's with T.G. Shepherd, the singer T.G. Shepherd.
Okay.
I don't know if you... And he said, "T.G., here's your bus." He bought the bus for T.G. Shepherd. And just gave it to him.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was like a $20,000 turbo. And just gave it to T.G. Shepherd. Yeah.
And you were sleeping on it at the time, right?
I wasn't on that. I was on the Stamps bus, but I was dead.
Oh, okay.
So that would have been my first meeting with him if somebody had woken me up.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Just to miss, that's crazy.
I know. Literally.
And then you went through all that trouble.
Yeah.
And
If I had made it wouldn't have been all that bad overall story. I wouldn't have that story to deal with, because I would have already met him, and it wouldn't have been that big a deal.
Oh my goodness. It's great.
I don't know. That's just time.
No, I loved it.
That is amazing. I would have been so anxious, though, being dropped off in the middle of nowhere to find a bus that I didn't know.
I don't know how you did that.
Can you imagine?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, then, at least after you went to Graceland after that, it was a good experience because you were recording the Jungle Room sessions, which is crazy to think about. And every time when we go back to Graceland and you look at the Jungle Room, I just sit there thinking, I'm like, how did they even set it up in this room? I try to picture it.
Yeah, it was like just crowded, just everybody on top of everybody. And in a recording studio, you have isolation. You're able to isolate the guitar amps. You isolate the drum in a totally different room most of the time. Mm-hmm. Have their own vocal booth. Everything is isolated. Mm-hmm. Well, the room are just all crammed in there together. And you can imagine all these open mics, all our mics, all the mics on the drums, and then
wow.
not a good way to record, obviously. And to top it off, you usually would do all that, and then the lead vocal would come in a completely quiet, clean room and do their vocal. Elvis was just right in the middle of us, doing his thing, and he would even walk around in the room. It wasn't like he stayed in one spot. So the engineers in the truck, you could imagine, were having like a just crazy thing trying to, because when he would walk close to the drums, they'd have to pull his mic down and back up, or whoever's walking close, they're in there doing knobs and trying to keep the thing together. And those records turned out to be beautiful. I don't know how they did it. They did. Them in the studio, and they worked on one track at a time. Cleaned it up and took all the extra noise off of each track, and then from that sound, turned out to be good records.
They did, and I love so many of those songs. Way Down, For the Heart, Moody Blue, like Hurt. I just can't.
Hurt was the first song that he recorded that night, the one night, the first night.
Yeah.
And he walked down, and I thought it would be just a normal kind of recording thing. He'd sing a little bit and then stop and go and say, guys, let's start over, let's do that again. I didn't like that, or blah, 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 do, like you normally would. He walked up to the microphone and just went, I'm so hurt. And then the band, he sang it like twice, all the way through, never stopped, sang the song twice, and they made a record of it.
And that's such like a powerhouse of a song too.
Oh, yeah.
For him to just go and nail it like in 2 takes, like
he did.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it blew me away.
And I feel like that's such a special memory for you to have as well. Like that was the only album he ever recorded in Graceland, and like you were there for that. Just awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. I love Moody Blue and all the ones that you named as well.
Yeah.
Great songs.
Were there any lessons or like insights that you learned from Elvis or your time with Elvis that you take throughout your career today?
There's things that I learned surely about him. He was just immensely talented. He had a vocal range that was unbelievable. He seldom ever sang off pitch. He knew exactly how to interpret a song. He could take a Michael Jackson's biggest hit and record it and turn it into an Elvis song. You know it as an Elvis song now. Instead of whatever he touched, he turned it into an Elvis song.
He did.
And just to have that kind of voice and talent and uniqueness about him, and it was just really something to appreciate and enjoy, night after night. And then he would sing songs differently, from night to night as well. It would be little different things. And when the singer does that, they're totally comfortable with what they're doing and have all the confidence in the world. And then his kindness, being as big as he was, and I kind of learned that the bigger the star, the less ego, and the more generous they are. It's the smaller people that want to be a star that have the attitudes. The really big stars, that have made it, they're usually really nice, generous people.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you say he could just turn it into an Elvis song, like there's so many songs from especially the 70s that you hear that other artists did, and they sound so different from Elvis's version. And like for example, like I was listening to a Tom Jones album, and a lot of the stuff from Elvis's album, That's the Way It is also on Tom Jones' album. And I'm like, these are so different, and they have such a different flair to them. And I just love how like Elvis could just take something and just roll with it and turn it into his own thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, let's take a step out of Elvis. You know, you were there when you were still singing with him when he sadly passed in 1977. And what was life like after Elvis? Like, was it hard to transition out of performing with him, or did you kind of you guys had your groove still because you were also doing separate gospel shows on your own?
Yeah, one thing that happened was because there was, he was gone and so popular. People were craving, his music and craving just anything that had anything to do with him. And so we, as a gospel group, we were getting bookings in all these kind of places where we would never sing as a gospel group. We even played the Palomino Club in LA. Many gospel groups played the Palomino Club. So we were playing in all those kind of places, and went on a tour to England with Jerry Lee Lewis and things like that. That because of Elvis, we wouldn't have been doing. That was kind of unique. We did do our normal gospel stuff too. So it was kind of a mixture of the Elvis tribute kind of shows and then just our own gospel shows.
Yeah. Was it hard to start singing like without Elvis? Like was it really sad at first, and like did it take some getting used to?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not sure we ever really got used to it. It's not like, oh yeah, we're really killing this song and feeling good, and this is,
Yeah.
we were just trying our best to please the audience and give them whatever we could, of Elvis. And
Yeah.
so we were kind of really out of water, doing those kind of shows.
Yeah, and you.
It was hard. It was hard for us to do because we were used to just having to do the backup. We had a great singer in front of us, and we just backed him up. And
Yeah.
here trying to carry the whole thing, it was hard for us.
And you're still carrying on his legacy today because you're doing all of these like TCB band shows, which are we talked about this a little earlier, but they're so cool and so fun to experience because you just get a little taste of like what it was like. And I know you guys have been doing that for a while because I even saw it was like a movie or something about the 25th anniversary of you guys. All the band members got together and did a huge show. And
You're talking about with Elvis on the screen.
yes.
Yeah.
And how did those shows kind of start, and how is it to see that Elvis's legacy he's still thriving to this day?
Well, it was great to be able to do those shows. They took what video footage they had of him in the full shows, and they went in the studio and they took all the music off the videos, everything except his voice. And then they added back a click track, just a click track for the drummer, so the drummer would know the timing, what the timing of the song was. The drummer had a click track in his ear. The rest of it was just, we don't have anything monitored. So it was as near to doing the real deal as you could get. It was real. The sound was there, and the difference was he was on screen and just wasn't on stage. So they were really fun to do, and it was such a great honor to get to do the music again. It was really unique to have them come up with that idea. And yeah, I wish they would still do some more. I don't know if it is planned or not.
I would love to attend one of those someday. Like those, it would be so cool to see something like that. And I know at Graceland during Elvis Week, they do kind of do something like that, but they need to get all of you guys back on stage again. Everyone who's still here, get them back on stage and let's do it. Because I know people would love that. And, going into kind of like the newer generation of Elvis fans that have come, like you just featured doing background vocals on Julian Cardarelli's song, If I Could Talk to Elvis. How was that?
I had met Jillian through her husband, Brian.
Yes.
And he and I had gotten to be acquaintances and friends. We both had quite a bit in common. And Uh, so I got to meet her. They became really good friends. And we go to dinners a lot, and I would have them out when we were having parties at the house, or Christmas parties, those kind of things. Jillian would come out and she would sing. Other things that we would do as well. So I can't remember exactly all the stuff. But then she called me one day and said, "Hey, I've got this song. Would you sing on it?" And of course I sang on it. So it was really a unique song, that from the perspective of if I could talk to Elvis, what would that be like? I really thought it was a great song, and I was glad to be a part of it.
And it resonated. It resonated with a lot of people.
I knew it would, because just everybody thinks that. I wish I could have talked to Elvis.
Yeah, and I feel like she kind of was like just a voice for a lot of us. Like everyone was like, we needed this song, and it was so cool. And we had her. As we were talking about, we also are really good friends with Jillian now, and we've had her on the podcast before, and it was just so cool to hear how that song came about and kind of her journey with Elvis. Everyone has their own journey with Elvis, and that's what I love. That's like the whole point of Victory and I's podcast, is to hear how Elvis affected you. How did you know Elvis? Like, we're just trying to keep his spirit alive. So yeah.
Appreciate you all doing that.
Yeah. Okay, so we just have a couple more questions for you. And we know that you are married to the legendary Naomi Judd, and she left such an impact on country music, and we all miss her so much. Is there anything you would like to say about her and her legacy?
There's so much I could say, but I'll keep it kind of short because it's still pretty painful to have to deal with. But she was one of the smartest people that I've ever known. She was driven, great songwriter. She had more talent than she even realized. In fact, she didn't consider herself a singer at all. She would never sing like a solo by herself.
Interesting.
She would only sing harmony, behind one other. And in fact, during the early days of the Judds, before they ever got signed to a deal, Winona was 17 years old. They'd be rehearsing out in the country at the little farmhouse that we lived in, and because I was a gospel singer and I worked with Elvis, blah blah blah, she'd never sing in front of me. They would always go into the other part of the house and close the door to rehearse the song. And she wouldn't sing it in front of me.
Oh my goodness.
I know. She just really sold herself short because she had a wonderful ear. And then the harmony part that she sang behind Winona was not your normal. A lot of it wasn't your normal moves of harmony. It was just what she heard, just naturally, and that's what just made those records,
Yeah.
And then the songs that she wrote were just "Love Can Build a Bridge" and all those kind of things. That just the strong sweetness and beautiful songs that she wrote. She was just, she could be hard on herself. She could be hard on herself. She just pushed her. But she was the driving force, behind the whole thing going. It was her that got it. Just the whole mother-daughter deal. Yeah, and then making it happen. That was her, man. She was really working it. Course,
yeah, well,
when you look like she looked, you could kind of get in some doors that probably a lot of people couldn't get into.
She's so beautiful. I was actually I was listening to their music yesterday, actually, because I knew we were talking to you today, and I was like, I wanna listen. And they have the some of the best voices ever, and I appreciate you speaking on her. And I know it's still very recent, and we just wanted to give you some space to, if you wanted to say anything. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Well, last question for you. Are there any projects or any endeavors you're currently working on? Do we have anything to look forward to the future? Or are you just going to continue doing some more of the TCB band shows?
Well, as my friend Donnie Sumner, I'm sure you know who Donnie is, got this saying, anybody won't say, Donnie, won't you come out and sing for us? And he'd go, oh, man. He said, I'm not trying to start a career. I'm trying to close one out. But I do some shows once in a while with some of the ETAs. I work with Sean Clush some and some. And,
yeah.
I don't know why they quit using me. I don't know if I made Dan or not. But I was having a good time singing with those guys because it's just getting a chance to do those songs again. But there's another artist that's in Austria. This cat named Dennis Yale, and I've been over with him and did some concerts there and did a cruise with him. And he has another cruise coming up next year, 2025, that I'll probably participate in. So
that'll be fun.
Elvis festivals here and there. I think I got something coming up in Oklahoma sometime this year. I can't remember exactly when. There was another thing in England that I'm waiting to hear about. So I get to do just enough to feel like I'm working.
Yeah, well, you are, and we absolutely love. I can speak for the younger generation, and even when I was looking at your website, you had that little blurb of how we're running out of time. We lose more people in the Elvis community every year, so I appreciate that you still go out and do the Elvis things, because that's so important to us newer fans, because we want to get to know and meet as many people who were close to Elvis, who knew Elvis, who performed with Elvis as we can. So Larry, keep doing it as long as you can,
Yes, I plan to. It's always great to get to do that music just one more time,
Yes, it's amazing music. It's the best music ever. So
I could stand in the shower, and sing it all day, but it's not half the fun as going on stage with a band.
Yep. Exactly. Well, Larry, thank you so much for coming on and for answering all of our questions. We know that everyone is really excited to hear this episode. And as you can see, Victory kind of hopped off a little bit. She texted me that she wasn't feeling too well, so that's kind of why I took over the interview. But you did amazing, and thank you again.
I hope it wasn't because of me.
No, not at all. It wasn't because of you. I promise.
Sure, I didn't make her sick.
You did. Well, Cadillacs, thank you guys for listening. Go, and if you haven't, Larry has an album, actually. It's called Legacy, right, Larry?
Yeah, but I don't have many of them. It's kind of sold out. But I can always order.
It's on Spotify. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell the listeners that they should go and listen to it on Spotify if they haven't, because I was actually listening to it yesterday and it was lovely. And just thank you again for coming on. And Cadillacs, as always, TCB and TLC. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Elvis and the Pink Cadillacs.
To connect with us, follow us on our socials at Elvis and the Pink Cadillacs on Instagram and TikTok.
And share your Elvis stories and experiences with us at elvisandthepinkcadillacs@gmail.com, and you may be featured in the next episode.
We'll see you next time, and for now, TCB
and TLC. Bye!
Bye!